Hey there, so here's my Ishizu Ishtar, or Isis Ishtar deck from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. I combined a few different themes into this. So I combined the anime deck, the manga deck, and a time where you could use Exchange of the Spirit, and some themes from then, and a couple of things that I chose that are different. So I'll just jump in and get to each part as I go. So for this build, it's more so, it really looks like a competitive build in a way, compared to character decks. But I still try to keep true to the GOAT era. So I have one of each of her monsters only. I may eventually just cut a lot of extra good stuff down and just put, 3 Zolgas, 3 Kestis of Daglo, whatever it is, and make it more like a fun character deck, strictly speaking. So, fun fact, these were actually vanillas in the manga, all of these cards here, including some of Merrick's cards and so on. And it was kind of neat to see that they actually took them and made them into effect monsters. But at the time, no one really knew or thought about it or cared. So Kelbeck is great because it's a wall of illusion. YuGiOh, I did try to experiment with this because I said, well, believe it or not, all of her monsters are earth and fairy. So I said, well, this has an effect now. What can I summon with it if it goes off? And the only things I have in here are 4-star fairies. Now, I did try a Skalangle, which is a 2-star fairy. I did try an Airnight Parshath, which was a 5-star fairy, but the only other Earth fairy that was old was Mystical Beast Circuit. And arguably, yes, you can put Temple of the Kings and Mystical Beast Circuit in here with that. It could work. If Exchange of Spirit, excuse me, goes off, you dump your Mystical Beast Circuit, and then you just revive it with Monster Reborn. So Modora gains 200 for each fairy in the grave. Zolga, when you sacrifice it for a tribute summon, you gain 2,000. Keldo is pretty neat because when it's destroyed by battle, you can return 2 cards from their graveyard to their deck. So you want to time that carefully. After you flip Exchange of the Spirit, or is it, how did I use this? Yeah, so you want to do it before you flip Exchange of the Spirit, so that they have the least amount of cards in their grave. I put 3 giant rats in here because it searches for nearly all of these. And 3 giant rats if you keep attacking into a creature, and then you get Keldo, that's already 4 cards in the grave, which is great. Sinister Serpent, just because I have cards like Magical Stone Excavation, Drag Down to the Grave, and I am using Painful Choice. Mask of Darkness to get back this card, in case you mill it with your own 6th Sense, or they destroy it with MST. Magician of Faith, that gets back, cards you need, Painful Choice, maybe to dump in the grave. Cataville Omen searches for that. Sangan to search for everything else to pull things together. I have 2 Upstart Golems in here. I decided to put a Harpy's Feather Duster in there because my rationale is, after you flip the decks, you're going to have minus a few cards in your resources in total. So if you can put a Kestis of Dagla on a Modora after you flip the decks, play that first, then you have a defender until you can stall. Not literally stall. You want to stall in the sense where you have a monster on the field, and you may attack, you may not, but you play the game from that point on. I'm not talking about stalling like some of the people who just sit there in the tournament and just take all 30 seconds of their time. I'm talking about, the theoretical way of stalling in terms of playing. It probably didn't sound better, but whatever. 2 of these, Nomen of Exterminations. So these are great because it can destroy a trap and remove it from play. So you get a card in your grave, and they do not get a card in their grave. However, if you hit like Royal Decree or whatever it is, a continuous trap, they flip a face up and this fizzles. Graceful Pot. 1 Kestis of Dagla, just because. In the manga, the only thing this thing did was give a fairy 500 extra. It didn't have the life point gain effect. Drag Down into the Grave. Michizuri of Doom. In the media, this took 2 cards from both players' hands. So what people do not know, even people who like the lore and all that, is that the original card she used, Spell Reproduction, that was actually not the Spell Reproduction that was used by Kaiba in the Grand Prix, and it was also not the same Spell Reproduction from Dark Crisis. The one in the manga was literally almost like a Magic the Gathering card. It literally said, return a spell card from your graveyard to your hand. That's it. There are Magic the Gathering cards that do that. So I said, well, you know what? I kind of want to use that, but Spell Reproduction is a terrible card. You have to discard 2 spells to return a spell. Now, that was a good card in Diamond Dude Turbo back in the day, or some Jar decks, and I think a Mass Driver deck. It's been a long time. But I said, Merrick uses this card. They're related. Merrick and Ishizu. So I said, why not? Better card. And I can't print Spell Reproduction from the manga. It would be too broken. And people would complain. Swords of Light, Painful Choice, Reborn. I don't have a Premature Burial in here. I think I decided against it because it wasn't efficient enough. Weirdly enough. People have said same thing about Call the Haunted and Goat format in Chaos. I mean, theories like that have been around since back in the day, at least in my group. But it's kind of fun seeing these things pop up. It's neat. 3 Bottomless Trap Holes. You want to get that turn 1. Because, again, Bottomless Trap Hole is an excellent card. Even if they declare priority on whatever they have, you still get rid of it. And in this deck, you put a card in the graveyard that counts towards your count. This gets rid of their monster, whether it's a 4-star or it's a tribute. Like a, Sun Skull to a Valkyrie. And, if they flip Cyberjar on their turn, and they summon 3 7-clawed fish, you flip this, all 3 of them are gone, banished. That means it does not go in the grave for the count for that. I had some fun with this. So Muko means negate in Japanese. It literally was the name of that card. Apparently, this card was one of the most broken cards in the lore, because it had 2 effects. It was a drop-off, and it somehow just, you flip it, and it acted as a solemn judgment without paying the life points. It was the most insane card if you go back and watch the anime or read the manga. 3 Jar Greeds, again, to fuel Exchange of the Spirit. Time Seal, this is what I meant by I'm trying to speak back to a certain time, because there was a deck around in GOAT era. Someone we knew used with us in our group. It was the Time Seal Tsukiyomi Mask of Darkness deck. 6th Sense. Okay, so when this came out, it either had 1 format or it had none. I'm pretty sure it was... No, actually, it did have 1 format. There was 1 card that literally came out and was like, you can't use it 2 weeks after. I forgot what it was. It was like one of these. No, we could use that. I don't remember. Mirror Force. So this card, they changed the effect from the anime manga. I've seen 1 person get this off for fun. It was one of those serendipitous moments. And I gave him props. In theory, when you read this on paper, as they say, it's a decent card, right? The only problem is against, if you want to use this in a tournament, and I've actually seen someone use this in a tournament for fun and they got lucky. If you want to use this in a tournament, you really have to aim for, you know, Air Knight Parshath. Mobius will kill it. Most people side deck Mobius. In water decks, I've seen people main deck Mobius. Can't do it against Jinzo. And then if you play like a rogue reasoning gate deck that uses all those crazy monsters, some use, you know, Guardian Angel Joan, Mystical Knight of Jackal, Mephist, the Infernal General, Vampire Lord, all these different cool monsters. If they sacrifice, then you can play this, but most likely they're going to Giant Trunade, so this card's pretty much useless. Anyway, what else can I say about this? I will do a video in the future about drawing hands and talking about plays, because I really like this deck, and I used this last year actually, and I foiled someone with it. But I'll make a video about drawing hands and playtesting them a little bit, so you can get the hang of it. Because again, these decks are nostalgic, and they're based on not only the lore, the media, the original, but also real life duels. And you know, I went back to learning, you know, what it was like to learn the basics and using every card effectively and efficiently in different ways. I mean, now I see on Facebook and everywhere else, you know, they talk about, you know, how these, you know, just cards, plays. I see people bashing other people for plays and thinking they're elite. I mean, honestly, good for some people for winning tournaments and all that stuff, but it's sort of snobbish. And whenever I talk or engage, I don't talk like that. I try not to, you know, because I enjoyed helping people build decks and playing them. So, anyway, hope you enjoy. The way I can grow my channel is if you subscribe, like, and comment. You don't even need to comment, really, just like and do an emoji in the comments. And there may be a bell or something. I don't know if I unlock that to, you know, tell you of upcoming videos. So anyway, I hope you appreciate these. To me, it's like, I mean, I've seen other people make character deck videos and things like this, but everyone has a unique niche. So if you have any ideas, feel free to share. Sometimes YouTube doesn't notify me of certain things. And anyway, okay, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more. Bye.